Hello everyone and welcome to the World Poetry Cafe, and this is for the family tent. Now last time I was taking you through a year of poetry, but this time I think I want to tell you some stories, and I'm going to begin with a very bad-tempered queen. She's brought her crown and she's very proud of her museum, which of course is up inside the palace, up a spiral staircase, and any children here, she will give them fair warnings. You must not touch anything, particularly very pointy spindles. So you have been warned. And so here she is now. A visit to the Palace Museum. And would you all be quiet, please? Thank you very much. Now, here is a tiny glass slipper, Snow White's golden comb, a rose that was stolen from Beast's lonely home, a nasty sharp spindle, a pea slightly squashed, a nettle leaf shirt which has never been washed, a hair from Rapunzel incredibly long, a swan's magic feather, the words of a song that was sung by a dragon, a frog's little crown, and a pumpkin with windows, a raggy old gown, and a casket of shells from the king of the sea. But the loveliest treasure, I think you'll agree, is this beautiful picture of me. Oh, I do hope you're all clapping. Thank you so much. And well done. You didn't break anything this time. Now, the problem with the Queen is, of course, that she told you not to touch the spindle. And any self-respecting child, well, the first thing you think is, I think I'll touch the spindle. And the next story is one of the very old ones from ancient Greece. And there is a girl called Pandora. And Pandora has been told she can look after this magical, wonderful box, which sometimes have noises in it or sparks flying out. She must never turn the key, never open the lid. And of course, what Pandora hears is, don't open the box, don't turn the key, and don't open the lid. So here we go, my story time hat, and it's just called Don't Open the Box. But what would you have done? Pandora, Pandora, don't open the box. Don't jiggle the keys, don't wiggle the locks. Don't search for secrets so cunningly hid. Don't rattle the hinges, don't lift up the lid. Imagine the trouble if ever you did. Pandora, Pandora, step back, creep away. Don't let the whisperings lead you astray. Don't let the demons and dragon kings roar. Don't let the monsters of misery pour into your bedroom and out of the door. Oh, Pandora, Pandora, now what have you done? You've summoned the darkness and blotted the sun. Sorrow and sickness are circling free. Nightmares are prowling round city and sea. And the whole world is weeping. Yet, listen to me. Pandora, Pandora, don't shiver, don't cry. Hope is still hiding. Don't wait, let her fly. That's a bit like us, isn't it? We're all in lockdown and we're hoping that a miracle will happen and hope will say, here you are and here is the cure. We keep our fingers crossed. Now, the next one, I got the idea for doing this poem because of a picture that I really love, and it's actually in the National Gallery, which is free when it's all open again, and you could go and see the picture too. So I'm going to show you the picture before I read you the poem, and I think I've got it in about the right way so the person filming this can see it, and with a bit of luck you can see a princess who seems to be on a lead, or is the dragon on a lead? And a dragon with wings that look a bit like butterfly wings, and a prince on a horse with a long lance. Trouble coming. And this is the story, and it goes like this, and it's called Dragon Tale. And the picture itself is about 600 years old. Dragon Tale. Well, the prince looked at the princess, and the princess looked at him. Then they both looked at the dragon, who was green and grey and grim, and the dragon stretched his wing flaps, and he sang a mournful hymn. Oh, who will save my treasure chest? Who will wear my crown? And who will guard my princess in her wispy silver gown, when the hero from the castle chains me up and knocks me down? Well, the prince looked at the princess, and she shuddered with regret, and they both looked at the dragon, who was grey and grim, and yet he was very small and lonely, so they kept him as a pet. Hooray! Now, of all the fairy tales that children are told when they're younger, there is a big favourite, and it's really the only character that pops up twice, and that, of course, is the big bad wolf. And he most certainly should be put on trial, shouldn't he? And so I have, I think, the judge's glasses to go on, because this is a very serious matter. And right, so this is a trial of the big bad wolf. Oh, what is actually I've put, is this a poem or a very short play? Because I get to be all the characters in the story. Said the judge in his wobbly wig. Let's hear the witnesses, person and pig. Up spoke Piglet number 1. He huffed my house down just for fun. Up spoke Piglet number 2. He wrecked my woodwork when he blew. Said the judge with a sniffle, and then he wrote it all down with his feathery pen. Up spoke Piglet number 3. He didn't have much luck with me, but all the same, he tried to climb down my chimney. Now that's a crime. Said the judge with a shiver of rage, and he wrote it all down on his rustly page. Up spoke Granny with a croak. He went and ate me for a joke, and then he chewed my tea time cake. You lock him up, for goodness sake. Said the judge with a wheeze and a wink. Then he wrote it all down with his blobby blue ink. Up spoke Little Riding Hood. He's always greedy, never good. His ears are huge, his teeth are too. I'd smack his nose if I were you. Said the judge with his notes and his pad. It's true that the wolf is enormous and bad, but one stitched up tummy and one sizzled tail have hurt him far more than a fortnight in jail. So, after much thought and advice from Aunt Florrie, I'll bang on my desk and I'll make him say sorry. That's just really good fun to do, isn't it? If you want to do it with friends, or if you want to do it on your own. Right, and we've got some more bad behaviour here, but I actually think they've got a good excuse. This seems to be Hansel and Gretel, and the wicked witch is seeing everything from her point of view. So, bad behaviour, and I'm sure you would never behave as badly as this. Hansel and Gretel, just what are you thinking? Merrily munching and greedily drinking gingerbread rooftops and lemonade lakes, windows of jelly and steps carved from cakes, sugary statues and minty green moss. No wonder the witch was a teeny bit cross. No wonder she said you were mean and unkind. She was proud of her home. It was neatly designed. No wonder she wanted to give you a fright. Nibbling houses can never be right. And though you may say she was wicked and warty, baking old ladies is terribly naughty. They had a good excuse, didn't they? Now, I've only got quite a short time, unfortunately, and so I've got here quite a long pantomime all about Cinderella. I've got a 40-page story about Noah's Ark, 40 days and 40 nights, and the 100-page tale of Sleeping Beauty, let alone Red Riding Hood. So, oh dear, I think I need for myself a magic spell to shrink them a bit. So we're going to start with as fast as we can. I'm hoping to be doing this in about a quarter of a minute or maybe less. And it's called The Astonishingly Short Yet Exciting Story of Cinderella. Right, deep breath. Cinder's paw sweeps the floor. Sisters whirl, dresses twirl. Quick goodbyes, Cinder's cries. Fairy sings, flutters wings. Magic sprinkles, Cinder's twinkles. Warning, 1. Time for fun, coach and all to the ball. Midnight, oh, scamper, go. Cinder stumbles, slipper tumbles, home to sweep. Sisters sleep, doorbell rings, servant brings slipper, prince. Sisters wince, Cinder sits, slipper fits. Wedding bells, happy spells, laughter, gold, story told. Hooray! Which means I might manage to squash in this 40-page story and the 100-page tale and... Right, the 40-page story of Noah's Ark. Noah builds strange ark. Rain falls, sky dark. Noah packs large zoo. Meow, woof, howl, woof. One wife, small crew. 40 days sail seas. Dove spots wet trees. Noah glad, rainbow born. Shame about the unicorn. Oh, we want one of those, don't we? Quite a ride. And now the 100-page tale of Sleeping Beauty. Bad fairy, angry sneers, wicked curse, blood, tears. Doomed princess confirms fears, falls asleep 100 years. Happy end, prince appears, hooray! And finally, the rather repetitive tale of Little Red Riding Hood. Little girl, fond of red, finds wolf in Gran's bed. Isn't fooled, enough said, axe falls, wolf dead. Although somehow or other he always seems to live for another day, doesn't he, and get onto the peaks. Now, this next one is quite a long story, and it doesn't rhyme, but I think you might enjoy it. And it was actually written as a long story by a gentleman called Hans Christian Andersen, and you might have heard of him before because he also did that rather spooky story of the Little Mermaid. But it's called The Emperor's Nightingale. Now everybody talks about how beautifully nightingales can sing, and people go out into the woods at night to listen to them. But the nightingale itself, if you saw it, it's quite a drab little bird. It's a bit brown, it's a bit grey, and not a beautiful, colourful thing, but oh, the music it sounds. And so this is called The Emperor's Nightingale. The emperor lived in a glittering palace crammed with glittering treasures. He wore glittering robes, glittering rings, a pair of glittering sandals with turned up toes, and a glittering crown that pinched his royal ears. In short, everything he owned except for his old teddy bear. Aren't you sweet? He's very nice. Yes, apart from the old teddy bear, everything else glittered as brightly as stars. One night, as he was gazing at the moon, the emperor heard a song so beautiful, so misty and magical. He mopped his eyes and he called for the kitchen maid. "What is that glittering song?" he boomed. "And who is the glittering singer?" "Oh, no, it is the nightingale," said the kitchen maid, who knew about such things. "Shall I fetch it for you?" And swifter than a spell, the nightingale swooped to the glittering top of the emperor's glittering throne to sing its magical song. But oh dear, when the emperor turned around, he saw only a small, dull bird who did not glitter at all. "Bring me," he bellowed, "a glittering nightingale with glittering cogs, glittering wheels, and a glittering silver key." Well, the royal inventor did his very best. The glittering golden bird sang for 1 whole year and 1 whole day, and then it croaked and clicked and fell asleep inside its glittering cage. Now nothing seemed to glitter any more, and soon the emperor grew ill. He lay in his dusty wooden bed, in his dusty turret room, gazing at his dusty window and the sad face of the moon. "He will shortly die," said the royal doctors, "and there is no magic in all the world that can save him." "Oh, yes, there is," said the kitchen maid, who knew about these things. And swifter than a spell, a little drab bird swooped to the dusty top of the emperor's dusty wardrobe and sang its beautiful song. "Oh, my nightingale," cried the emperor, hugging his old teddy bear. And then he sprang out of bed, pulled on his comfy slippers, the ones with brown buttons, and danced round his dusty room with the kitchen maid. So, do you think he gave away his glittering robes, his glittering rings, and the glittering crown that pinched his royal ears? And do you think he treasured his little drab nightingale instead? Oh, of course he did. Or so the kitchen maid tells me, and she knows about these things. There. It's a nice one, isn't it? Sometimes we think, oh, the next gadget will make me happy, and somehow it doesn't quite. And maybe you too go back to an old toy that you'd loved long ago. I've tried to be as many different people and things as possible in this, and now I've shrunk myself down to the size of a pea. This is called Pea Poem, and it is the polite sort of pea, not any other sort. And I expect you've all heard the story of the girl who arrives on a drenching night, the rain is bucketing down, and she knocks on a castle door and claims to be a real princess. But just like you at school, There's always a test, isn't there? Another test. And this test is to see if she is a real princess. So this is called Pea Poem. I'm only a pea who was picked from my pod. They dipped me, then dried me, which felt a bit odd. I'm hard as a conker, I'm crinkled and green, and they tuck me away where I'll never be seen. I lurk under mattresses, 2, 3 or 4, or maybe 100, or maybe some more. And then, when a stranger arrives from the west and says she's a princess, they set her a test. They take her upstairs to my home in the loft and they say, here's a bed that's incredibly soft. Then, if the girl's fibbing, she'll sleep night and day and they'll send her back home to a land far away. But if the girl's truthful, I'll keep her awake, I'll bump her and bruise her, she'll groan and she'll ache and she'll yawn half the morning in pain and distress, and the people will yell, you're a proper princess. So this is my poem. I'm only a pea, but you'll not spot a princess without help from me. He's very pleased with himself, isn't he? I've now got one which I might tell you the secret at the end, but it's called The Tale of Princess Ravenwing. Boys, don't run away, it's not going to be that bad. The Tale of Princess Ravenwing. And you know, in most stories, it's a princess has to be rescued, like the one in Sleeping Beauty. But this one is a little bit different. And someone else has had a terrible spell put on him. He's been locked up, he can't get the key, he's never going to escape. So, this is the tale of Princess Ravenwing. This tale is told in a long lost rhyme, in a long lost book, from a long lost time. Her eyes were as dark as a raven's wing, but she could not speak, and she could not sing, but around her throat, on a silver string, hung a rusty key and a ruby ring. She dressed in shadows each winter night. She searched the wood in the moon's cold light for a tower of stones, all ghostly white, as the silver cord grew tight, and at last she found the tower of stones, bright and bare as a witch's bones. The door flew wide with weary groans, and she saw one cage, 2 empty thrones. Oh, hear my cry, a sad voice sighed, with wicked chains my cage is tied. Will no one dare to step inside? Will no one be my own true bride? Now, she could not speak, she could not say, and yet she would not run away. She stepped across the floor so grey, and in the dust she wrote, I'll stay. At once she heard a magic bell. It broke the cord, it broke the spell, and faster than there's time to tell, her key unlocked the cage as well. She wears her ancient ruby ring. She's learned to speak again and sing. She's found her dear, enchanted king. So ends the tale of Ravenwing. And the truth is, I made it up. Now, we're actually getting on to 2 true stories, or at least the first one, everybody says it's true, especially if they're Scottish. And there used to be a very brave king there, King Robert the Bruce. But but he was having a bad time of it. And there were battles with the English, and the English wanted to get Scotland, and all the Scottish people wanted to get rid of the English army, and it was all going terribly wrong. And twice now he's lost a battle, and it's just not going well. And he's got depressed, just like a lot of people who've got fed up with being indoors. He's feeling a failure. So I've got a bit of a prop here to see in a minute. So this is called Third Time Lucky. You're feeling a failure? Your life is no use? Then I'll tell you the tale of King Robert the Bruce. The enemy English had beaten him twice. He was blinded by failure and deaf to advice. He hid in a cave like a thief on the run, and shielded his shame from the glare of the sun, while over the doorway, like shrouds for the dead, a spider was weaving a silvery thread. The king watched in silence as Scottish gales blew, tearing the web like his future in two. Yet the spider, unshocked by the wind and the rain, climbed up the wall and just started again. No sooner was web number 2 all complete when along came a storm and a second defeat. Did that spider give up and sob, "Poor little me"? No, it simply began to spin web number 3. So Robert the Bruce raised his sword in the air, crying, "Hello to courage, goodbye to despair." He charged off to challenge the English, my friend, inspired by a spider to win in the end. So don't be a loser. Forget your excuse. Remember the story of Robert the Bruce. Now I've got 2 quick little tales, I think. And, right, okay. I'll do one more true story, which is quite a strange one, and it's called The Thief in the Shop. Now, we actually saw all this happening on our TV news, and I think the thief in the shop actually lives somewhere like Portsmouth, so if you know that place. The Thief in the Shop. The thief in the shop saw the gifts round the tree, glittery parcels donated for free, and intended for children with little or less, whose parents were poor and whose lives were a mess. The thief in the shop, with a cynical sneer, grabbed a great handful. Why not? They were here, unguarded, uncounted, and paid for by fools. The camera watched him reject Christmas rules, and the thief in the shop soon appeared on TV. His face was too hooded and hazy to see, but he couldn't be captured or given a name, yet he saw his own actions and shuddered with shame. The thief in the shop, in his hood as before, returned all the gifts plus a whole sackful more. The camera watched with a wise, patient eye as a kindlier man waved a grateful goodbye. That's wonderful, isn't it? It makes you so cross at the beginning, and it kind of cheers you up at the end. And I think I've got time for one very quick one, because I'm being waved and being told that possibly, have I got about 2 minutes or 1 minute left? 1 minute left. Or, right, perhaps we can overrun very slightly then. I used to write poems for a gentleman called Ken Dodd, and this was his favourite, and it's called Sauce for the Goose, and it's actually a little Christmas story. Right, Sauce for the Goose. Now, I'm fed up with turkey, said Grandad last spring. Let's go for tradition. A goose is the thing. So they're going to get this goose and get him ready to eat at Christmas. So we bought a fine gander, that's a boy goose, and fattened him up with barley and biscuits and bread from a cup. He lived in our garden and slept in our shed. We called him Goliath and tickled his head. He chased off intruders who came to our gate, and no one dared mention his terrible fate. But Christmas grew closer as Christmases will, and Goliath grew fatter and Grandad grew ill. He no longer wanted to bake his best friend. It gave him goose pimples to think of the end. Well, we all love Goliath, but what could we do? We had him for Christmas and Boxing Day too. And he sat at our table as proud as can be, and he shared Grandad's dinner and shared Grandad's tea. And Ken Dodd said, I hope you found a nice wife after all of that. This is a one minute, possibly less than a minute. And last of all, I have to go because my time is up. And this is called Pegasus, the wonderful flying horse. So here we go with Pegasus, who I think came from ancient Greece or somewhere far, far away. Pegasus, the flying horse. Tonight I woke from dreaming and I saw a shadow pass. A horse swooped by my window and now it pounds the grass. His mane is pale as moonlight, his silver feathers shine, his tail streams like a comet, and his starry eyes meet mine. His mighty wings are beating, so now I must decide to hide my face in terror or to trust my dreams and ride. So ride away and take some of your own dreams, and I hope you have a very happy time. Goodbye.